IT teams are always looking for ways to better manage and respond to the incidents that they see every day. And the experience dashboards puts that data in their hands so they can see where issues are happening on which devices and the best way to solve them. But we're looking at four main categories within experience, and that's around stability, which tracks operating system or software crashes and hangs. Performance, which looks at your CPU, disk, memory, and network statistics. If those are having problems, we can quickly find out which resources or hardware components on a device are to blame. But something that's unique to 1E, we're also running synthetic transactions against the operating system performance to figure out, is the device starting to significantly slow down for the user, where we can start to find problems and might need to do deeper diagnosis into things like system startup and boot up times, how long it's taking for Windows UI elements to pop up and be interactable with the user, but also reading and writing from the disk, from the registry. All of these things are tracked around the operating system health and performance. Lastly, we're also gathering the qualitative data from the user through engagements or surveys that we can deploy out and get their feedback on things like their collaboration tools or how they perceive IT services are some examples we have here internally, but this could be completely unique and customized to the surveys and engagements that your organization needs to collect and send to your employees. Now, I can break this down by locations, by management groups, which could be personas or business units, different device collections that we want to compare or contrast. We're also looking at device models and operating systems. So this could be useful if I drill into my worst scores with stability. I can start to see and break down my OS and software crashes by those different categories. So I can see perhaps by location or office or branch, which ones are having the most issues and the scores with the worst performance. Now, looking at my stability score, I can also see what's contributed to that score declining over the last week. And it's mainly my software crashes. So I'll focus on that since I know that's my problem. Drill a layer deeper, and I can see the devices that are having the worst experience over that last week, which contributed to my poorest score. Here on the right, we can also see the other events that may correlate to these issues. So we can see our software crashes and the counts over time and drill into the specific applications that are having issues and their exception codes. But we can see on that same day were other applications crashing and hanging, different applications that got installed on those devices, and the details around those installations as well. Perhaps an update or a version may be contributing to the issues, but we're also seeing OS upgrades, patch installs, major events that hit the machine that could have contributed to that performance decline. Now, drilling into Sean's device, we can go down from that 10,000 foot view to a group of devices, all the way down to the details around a single machine. And this is where we can get that granularity around the logs, the events that are occurring, the timestamps, what other events happened around the same time as well, where we can see here on host executable has been crashing quite a bit on Sean's machine, more OS level issues, and the events that have occurred around the same time to see potentially those patches or updates that may have contributed to it. Now, taking a step back, we can see some of those con host executable crashes and general application issues in my environment. We can quickly take a look at the application specific dashboards, which can break down the crashes, the hangs, the resource consumption of each of these applications, just drilling into some of these details here, where we can compare and contrast how different applications and their versions are performing and being impacted on our users' devices. So over the last 30 days, this doesn't seem to be an issue that's just local to Sean's device. As here drilling into another version of Conhost, I can also see that Donnie's having similar problems, drilling into his machine, and finding more users that are impacted by a similar issue. All of this is drillable. We can start to see that historical context to understand, are these things happening on a single device, multiple devices at the same time? Tracking version control and what's out there on our devices, we can quickly start to identify what the probable source of our problem is and where to start spending the most time resolving it. Now, switching sides to some of the tasks that a service desk may see, they typically have a checklist of items they need to make sure are working or set correctly before they move on to deeper troubleshooting. And they can get all of this data without interrupting the user using some of our automation policies that consistently monitor things like the battery health, the CPU stats, other hardware on the machine, some of the software that that user may interact with every single day, and then ensuring those critical settings are set correctly. As well as just looking at the simple questions. When's the last time we rebooted? Looking at one of our automation policies here, we have an internal threshold of 3 days or greater that we want to make sure our devices are rebooting in. If it crosses that threshold, I can quickly see the devices that are not compliant and have my short list of devices that I can proactively either notify to reboot, force reboot directly from the 1E console, or take some other corrective action. All of these devices, for example, here, if I'm troubleshooting one-to-one from a machine, I can quickly see that high-level device health information from the policy below, as well as their boot up time, other device statistics, so I'm not picking up and calling the user to interrupt them with it. Now, all of this experience data is also accessible from the service desk if you allow them, so they can quickly see, are we dealing with CPU, memory, network, or disk issues? Is this user experiencing crashes and hangs, etc.? So they know where to spend their time and can potentially escalate to the right teams if necessary. This is how the experience data can help your teams, both at the service desk and desktop engineering, proactively get ahead of issues and quickly figure out where to spend their time so they can respond to the issues faster.